All right, thank you, and welcome to our business office refresher today. We're going to cover a couple different types of business office tasks in Workday and troubleshoot some questions that keep coming up, that keep tripping up our reimbursement requests, and hopefully get a bunch of questions answered. So, as in past trainings for the business office, we'll start with some introductions. We'll do a little bit of a workday overview. We like to cover every once in a while some like additional tips and tricks to help you navigate around Workday. We'll do a little bit of that. We're going to cover spend authorizations for travel to give you that SA number or what used to be called a TA. And then flowing down through to an expense report. We'll track through from a spend authorization to that expense report when you're ready to request reimbursement. And then a couple other different types of reimbursements, very common ones like mileage, and other different out-of-pocket expenses. And then we'll go over some Workday resources. We've been refreshing some of the, or all of the Workday job aids for the business office. And they've done a lot of really hard work in their area to really update the guides and update the information so everybody has the best information and is on the same page. All right, and then just a couple of housekeeping items. We do always make sure to record these, and we want to keep this session as user-friendly and fluid as possible. So, of course, we built in a lot of time for your Q&A. If you have current reimbursement and spend authorizations that you are working on, please bring those questions. We really want to help you work through it and troubleshoot it. And so we'll be, of course, recording and have that live Q&A. After we wrap up, you will receive an email with all of the information that we have shared. So you have all of the up-to-date links, all of the up-to-date resources. And then, of course, please continue to submit questions, submit feedback, use our Ask a Question form, and then we are continually working on updating FAQs. All right, and so in terms of introductions, I'm Sarah Brooke. If we have not met yet, hello, welcome to Workday Training. In our business office, we have a lot of amazing SMEs, which stands for subject matter experts. We have KT joining us, and then, of course, Jordan Bang, who really works hand in hand with everyone at the college on reimbursements and travel authorizations and things like that. Would either of you like to say a few words?
No, just thanks for joining. And FYI, we're going to be having in person in Building 10 tomorrow from 1 to 4. So I'm going to have Carol there from purchasing and Jordan there. So if you want to stop in, you can always do some in person. As I said, we're going to be rolling out exciting change in P card approval. Your June P card purchases will be done in Workday this month. It's pretty straightforward. I've had Carol doing hers so I can test them against what a approver for someone who has a P card is like. And it's going okay. It's going well. I have a couple little things I'm working on, but we'll be rolling out that training, I think, the week of July 7th after the 4th. I know you guys all have to get your stuff into the system by the 15th. We'll probably send out an email giving you basic instructions, but then we'll do something like this in person.
All right, awesome.
And then also in regards to P cards, for those that have not sent in past months or even this most recent month, you guys should be getting an email here in the next day or so, just reminding you to send all past ones in that you have, if you have not sent them in.
So that's like the May, the April, anything from this fiscal year up through May, because we're going to try to close that door on Wells Fargo to stop people from going in there. If you go into Wells Fargo and do your June, well, that's nice, but you're going to have to do it in Workday too. So you might as well not do double work. You might as well just do the Workday.
Yeah.
Katie, I'm going to be gone that first week of July.
Yeah, I'm thinking
Can
of doing
I
it the second week of July, the week
do
of
it
July
when
7th.
I come back? That'll be no problem. You wait until I come back.
Yeah, because that week of July 7th is still the week before it's kind of due for you guys by the
Okay,
15th.
okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So, KT, is that going to eliminate the double work of historically sending in the paper
Yep. The
in
gray
the gray
envelopes are going
envelope?
to go away because Workday is going to require that you put an attachment on. So if you put in like, oh, I spent this at Ace Hardware, and then you try to hit submit for your supervisor to approve, it's not going to let you do it until you upload something, i.e. your Ace Hardware receipt to that. And once we've got that electronic receipt uploaded, it's fine.
Yeah.
So you can stop doing the gray envelopes.
Awesome. So yeah, we will have more information about that, KT. In case anyone just joined, KT was explaining that we will have an email. Their office is putting together more information on P card use. And then we'll also cover some of the Amazon punch out process stuff too in the next training. So a couple of things that we have highlighted before is our Workday training tenant. And a training tenant is available right where you find your regular Workday app in Unity, and I will show you where to access that. I just received an update that we will continue to have the Workday training tenant available to us to use, to practice with, to get used to it before you go into that live instance of Workday. So definitely recommend getting in there, practicing, taking a look at what it feels like. And so we'll probably have this for quite some time. It's not going to get shut off. So I just learned that today. So I will be showing you where to find that. And then, of course, one of the main changes with Workday is that it is attached to Unity. You will need to access Unity to access Workday and have access essentially to all of the apps that you use at the college. So we'll go through and show you where to find that information. And then we're just going to do a little bit of review of the Workday homepage, kind of like talk about just a little bit of differences between tasks and notifications. And then we will go into expense reports, reimbursements, what it looks and feels like to create that initial spend authorization, to request approval to travel, which is required before you travel long distance, internationally, etc. We will then go over creating expense reports. An expense report is then required when you come back from travel and you need to report all of your expenses. And then also, of course, expense reports are for mileage reimbursements. So we will do some demo on all of those tasks. And then we will have time for Q&A. And then we will show you where to find the updated job guides and job aids on Unity. Super important. So I'm going to unshare my slides, and then I'm going to go over to our MCC main page. Can everyone see our website? So once you are here at mccneb.edu, you will hit login faculty staff. This is where you will get authenticated. From here, to access Workday, you'll click the drop down and then you'll slide all the way bottom to the bottom and find Workday apps. So here is our training instance of Workday. This is your live instance of Workday where you will complete all of your work. So for today, I'm going to open up our training tenant. And then I also recommend if you have something you're currently working on, or if you have questions on something you've started, or something you know you need to do, feel free to open up your live instance with Workday, follow along with us, and get a feel for it. And then Jordan and I are here for you to hopefully help answer any questions you have, walk you through any maybe issues that are popping up or errors that might be popping up, and show you how to clear those. So first, what we're going to do is take a look at our training accounts and start a spend authorization. So from our main menu, saving your expenses hub is going to be a really key feature to make it super easy for you to find. So once you have that saved in your shortcuts in your menu, you have these two options, either to create a spend authorization or create an expense report. So we're going to go the spend authorization route first, just to give you an idea what it will look like to request travel ahead of time. And this may mean that you have a conference to go to, you need to book a hotel, you need to book a flight. So we've got some example information for those sorts of activities. To add information into a required field, you'll always see this little hamburger and Twinkie. So MCC will always default for you as the company. You'll want your start date defined for travel. I'm going to use a date in the future. I'm going to use July 8th. End date of July 11th. And then the description field, which is required, definitely put something like the purpose of the trip. Business purpose, I believe, will be something related that is travel, either a local travel, international travel, long distance travel anywhere in the US, or other if nothing really fits into that category. But I'm going to put long distance travel. And then to attach and add specific expense lines, come down here and click the plus. And then it's going to start a spend authorization line for you. So for the expense item, you can search through these fields that will pop in here. You can also just start typing. So I'm going to start by adding airline. Let's see. I just did this earlier.
Would you
Try
type in
going by Alpha.
airfare?
Try,
Airfare. Is it airfare?
yep.
All right, boom. Okay, so airfare is the one that I was working on yesterday. Quantity, per unit amount, and then it will flow down into the total. The budget date for the date that I'm going to start travel will get defaulted there. Memo, I'm going to put plane tickets. So then coming down here, for whatever reason, it's not defaulting my cost center, but you'll want that information if you have to change it, but otherwise it will go into your default cost center. I'm going to add a cost center in here that I know works. And then once you hit your cost center, once you have your cost center set, it will automatically update your location, your fund, and your PCS code. So understanding your cost center and maybe what cost center you're traveling on behalf of, super important. Otherwise, all of that information will just be in your default.
Hey, Sarah, can you do me
Yes,
a big favor?
you
Can
bet.
you scroll up for me really quick? And now it's not showing it in our training module, but in our Workday system, right here where it says here is MCC expense policy, there will also be a link to the GSA website. This will show you your per diem for your trip. Now, this is where you're going to go. You'll be looking up the per diem yourself instead of the business office having to send this out to for you. So that website is going to be very important to you so you know what you are allotted to use for your breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And we are making changes to that we have implemented. Instead of it going by breakfast, lunch, and dinner, you are allotted one select amount for the whole day. And then we're just asking, we understand that sometimes going outside of the allotted amount is going to happen, but we just ask that you please be respectful of the allotted amount that we are giving.
So
Um,
Jordan, if I'm a traveler, does that link, is that in my travel authorization automatically, the link that I click on so I can check my GSA rate for that, for the meals? Like, how do I know where that link is?
The link is, it's not here on the training module, but it's going to be up here in the MCC under the MCC expense policy.
Okay.
up here, I have
Okay,
seen
so
where
it's up
that is
there.
attached.
It's up there for people. They can click on it. They'll be able to see what can you spend in Atlanta?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Or
And
what's the
then yes,
guideline?
yes, the MCC expense policy does show that 404 error page. That is because everything is starting to be linked over to Workday now. So again, this will be updated again.
Okay. Awesome. That was good to point out. So maybe we can take a look at what per diem would look like here. So I'll go ahead and do my attachment for the airfare, and then maybe we can add an expense line. And Jordan, you can show us how to add in per diem for meals and things like that. All right. So I have a file that I prepped for Delta. And so this is where your attachment will go. And then if you click back over, you see your spend line information. And so my cost is actually $277.80. So I'm going to update that. All right. So then that's my line for specific to my airfare. So if I want to add an additional line, maybe I booked a hotel, or maybe there's a conference fee, you click this plus sign. And then you've got this additional expense line that gets populated. You can click back down to your airfare. But so let's take a look. What would you start with here, Jordan, for maybe adding in per diem for meals?
You can put meal, um, and then we'll just start off with lunch because sometimes you won't always get a breakfast on your first day out.
Okay.
So we'll go to lunch, and then we'll say you spent about $15 for lunch.
Okay.
And then in your memo, you'll just put um, lunch for first day or whatever you purchased.
Okay.
And then you'll go over to destination and just put where you went.
See if it pops in. No, it does not. I wanted to go to DC. There we go. Okay. So then if I am adding an additional meal, maybe an evening meal, do I need to go ahead and do an additional expense line for that same day?
Yes. So for this one, you can just add dinner.
Okay.
So basically, for the spend authorizations, when you do the meals, these are just going to be rough estimations.
Mhm.
I know you're not going to know exactly what you're going to order when you go out, and that's what the reimbursement is for. So reimbursement is going to be your actual total versus when you just putting it into the spend authorization, it's just a rough estimate. You don't have to be exact.
Okay. And it also doesn't look like you would necessarily need to do an attachment at this point because you don't have that receipt, correct?
Correct. No attachments are going to be required in spend authorizations. But when
Okay.
you go to ask for reimbursement, whatever your receipt says is what you're going to want to put in your reimbursement line.
Okay. Awesome. Is there anything else you would suggest adding at this point for an anticipated cost?
Hotel.
Okay, let's add hotel. And then I'm pretty sure I can just add hotel there. And then actually, I did notice this. I know some people take travel and take students to different locations. So I did notice that this is in here as well, but I also, for this purpose, maybe we'll add a hotel for an employee. The hotel line over on the right, I believe is also required.
Yep.
And then you can click all hotels. I'm going to click Aloft. And then we're going to go ahead and I think use our same arrival and departure dates, the 8th through the 11th of July.
You might want to switch them around. You'll get that error message. So the departure date's on top. I'm not sure why
Oh,
they did that, but
oh, that is odd. Okay. All right. Good catch. All right. And then I believe my per unit amount.
okay. So we got a question. We got a couple questions in the chat in regards
Okay.
to. So yes, Jolene. It's just a rough estimate. And then, can you explain local versus long distance travel definition? Is it mileage based or overnight stay? So, the difference between local travel and overnight travel is just going to be an overnight stay. So, everything that is not an overnight stay is going to be considered a local travel event. Anything that requires you to stay the night is going to be long distance. Can you please speak to the cost center, costing locations? Phone and PCS numbers are a bit different than before, just so we all know and also what is PCS? Okay, so all of that stuff should automatically generate for you. So that's built into the system.
Yeah.
Um,
Like those are definitely accounting functions that are set for each worker. So yeah, this is all of the default information.
What about travel that's a virtual conference?
virtual conferences you do not need to spend off for because it's a virtual. You're still staying in town. You would just that if you are spending money for that conference, you're just going to need a reimbursement.
Mhm. Okay, good question. So anything else we should be aware of
Miss,
on this site, on this
oh, I
page?
thought Risa had a
Oh, you
question.
have another one in the chat. Okay, go ahead.
Um,
I do not
I
have.
have multiple cost centers. How do I choose the right one for a particular travel event? That is something. That is something your manager should or supervisor should be informing you of. So, if that is the case, I would always ask your supervisor which cost center and location that should be billed out of.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
So I'm going to go back in here.
So I know which one I am the supervisor, but you said it would be auto-populate. Will I be able to choose? Yes, you should be able to choose. You should still be able to make changes to it. So it just automatically populates for you just for easy access because most people they don't have to change it, but there are certain occasions to where you will have to change functions. Like for instance, some people bill out of granting, some people bill out of foundation. So it gives you the option to change.
Yeah, so yeah, if there's any questions regarding these fields, these are definitely editable. If you click in, and you can even see cost centers and things like that. So yeah, good question. I'm using this cost center just for a demonstration. This is not live data. This won't go anywhere. But yeah, it's just for demonstration. So I have a hotel receipt that I'm going to put in. So this is my reservation information. And then these are all my spend lines. I've got meals in there, I've got airfare, I've got hotel. So now, if you've got everything the way you need it to be, you can click submit, and this will go to your direct supervisor for approval. So then, anything else you want to add before we do that, Jordan?
No, I think that's pretty good.
Okay. When you click submit, an SA number is going to be generated. And I
Oh,
have,
it's probably gonna have you put something in the justification. Yep.
yes. Okay. So is that here, I assume?
Yep.
Okay. So I'm going to put, all right. I'm going to hit submit. All right. So then what you'll receive is this submission information. And then there are many different budget checks that happen in the background. Some of the checks are done by the accounting side, and anyone else that works on the spend side. The other thing we do have is the ability to view all of the spend authorizations that you have submitted. If you just type in the word spend in your search bar, you'll receive these two options. This is a report that will run, and you can see all of your SA numbers that have been generated here, and you can also see the status. So since we're using training data, we don't have the ability to have these submitted automatically and checked automatically by our accounting department. But this all gets routed through that side and hits many different checks and balances to make sure that everything was submitted correctly. And if it is not, it will come back to you. And I want to show you where that will be found. So I know we talked a little bit about maybe some general navigation things with regard to Workday. If something comes back to you and you need to take an action on it, it will be called a task. It will be in your task inbox. And so up on the right-hand side of Workday, you have my tasks and you have my notifications. So if your spend authorization needs more work, and it comes back to you, it will end up in your task inbox. And then this is where the information will populate. If your spend authorization or your travel authorization or your authorization for time off, anything that has been approved and is done, you will see it in your notifications. So this is a notification. Uh, and there's no additional tasks related to just a notification. It just means that the business process ended. So, if that is something that you've noticed that you have little red dots next to both of these, that's what's going on over here. All right.
And
So
then,
then, yes, go
oh,
ahead.
and then also you'll want to note, Sarah, could you go back to the spend off, please?
Yeah.
So you'll notice that you have the SA numbers there. So those are going to be your travel authorization numbers that you give out to AAA. So
Mhm.
when you go to call AAA, and the AAA number will also be posted under that GSA link as well, so that you guys have all that information. So when you call AAA, you'll give them the SA. Make sure you include all the zeros in there and then the last couple numbers at the end, so you are able to book your flight.
Awesome. So first, are there any questions with regard to this first part of the process, just getting your spend authorization in to request travel authorization?
I have a question or just kind of trying to clarify something. Somebody had asked something about finding what the amounts or the per diems are for food. Won't, didn't you say that that link that'll be there will give them what you allow daily
Correct. They're
for for
correct.
per diem?
Correct. On the actual Workday system, there is a GSA link that was right under the MCC
Yeah.
expense policy. That's the website that you're going to go to. You'll look up the city and state that you're going to, and then it'll give you your per diem for
For
that
that
trip.
location.
Yes.
Okay. And then granted, most of it is still, the rest of it is still just kind of an estimation, but they can at least look up and see what the exact amount is that they're allowed per day.
Right.
Correct.
So it might say like, oh, you're going to Atlanta, you get 15 for breakfast, 25 for lunch, 40
Yeah.
for dinner. So 15 and 25 and 40, 40, 50, 60, 70, $80 a day. So we're not going to hold you to breakfast, lunch, dinner. Like maybe you eat a big lunch and it's,
No breakfast.
$30
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and whatever, and you grab a coffee and or whatever, you meet your main meal at lunch and you just have a snack at dinner, just
Right.
stay under that 80, and try not to. If there's any questions, we might question you if it looks like abuse, but we're trying to give you some freedom to eat as you like, not
And when they go
in
to
buckets.
submit their expense reimbursement, do they still have to have receipts?
Yes.
Okay.
Always.
Okay.
Always.
Yeah.
And when you go to put in for the reimbursement, you want your reimbursement to match what is on your receipt. I know a lot of people been getting confused about that and they've just been putting the per diem amount. No, you want it to match your receipt.
What you
Yeah.
actually spend.
And it
Correct.
includes tips. So if you spend $20 on lunch and $4 on tip, the total's 24. It's
Okay.
not, some people are like, oh, I can't include tips. No, you can't include tips. And uh, sometimes people grabbed a coffee and they didn't get the receipt. They remember it later. There is like, I don't have a receipt form. There are things to help you if you don't have a receipt. We still want you to get your money back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and tips shouldn't be over 20%. So we do kind of, if you tipped, $10 on your suitcase or something, we're probably going to say, that's excessive. We try to stick with the norms. And yeah, 20% on a food bill is norm, 20%.
Okay. Thanks for clarifying that.
Where
Yeah.
is that no receipt form? I know it was in the forms bank,
It was
but
in the forms bank. It should still be there.
yeah, if you have trouble with that, finding that, reach out because some of our forms are being updated and IT doesn't have them back in yet, and da da da. But that is a form out there that people can use. And in fact, like in the when you're doing your P card stuff, some people are like, oh, that person left and I don't have the receipts. So you have to use like that form. It's so the auditor knows we, aren't just saying that was bought with no knowledge or this coffee was reimbursed with no receipt. Like we can do it. We just have to have something in there to show the auditor.
And then Jay Ashley, to answer your question, um, did you submit your travel off through Workday?
No, it was several months ago, and they said just do the normal form.
Go ahead and submit it through Workday, just because I know AAA is not going to take that T. Did you already book with AAA?
Yeah, I fly out in 2 days. It's been booked for months.
Okay, then you're good to go then. You should be
Okay.
fine. Just when
Okay.
you come back, you'll just have to submit your reimbursement through Workday.
Okay. And so it's okay that there wasn't a spend authorization in Workday, or it's already in there somewhere?
Correct. So there's going to be a special way that you do it.
Okay.
When you put in your memos, just put in TA and then whatever your TA number
Perfect.
was.
Great. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, that might be a really good point where we transition now over to submitting that expense report
Great.
after travel. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yep.
sure. Great question. I know that transitional time is really tricky, but we do have ways to make it work so that we're all legal. So here is where the GSA rates will be found. You'll come to create spend authorization on your own account inside of the live Workday tenant. And the GSA rates are linked here. And then you just navigate, it's searchable, just navigate to the city where you'll be traveling. Okay, awesome. I'm
So
gonna,
all of this,
oh no,
all of
I'm
that.
sorry. Should I go
Nope,
back?
you're fine, Sarah.
All right.
That all of that's going to be updated within the next couple days.
Okay.
So I'm going to get rid of the MCC expense policy because that just comes up as a blank page, and then we'll be adding the AAA number as well.
Okay. Awesome. That's really helpful. Okay, we'll go back to our training tenant. And so here we are back over where we're going to just kind of play around with some expense reports. So expense and spend authorizations all start from the same place. So on this screen, you would click expense report. So since you have spend authorizations in the system, you'll be able to click, and I don't have any items to select from currently, but once they get through to that approval stage, you will have a live item that you can grab here and it will populate here. And then you'll be able to go through all of the different expense lines. But first, we're just going to create new. And it is essentially the same process. So for this example, I know I have spoken to a few people who are getting just a little bit tripped up on mileage reimbursements. We can do that kind of an example. We could do, yeah, other types of receipts. So I'm gonna maybe start with a local travel, and maybe you did, maybe you went to another campus. Again, your company will always default to MCC. Your cost center will for sure always be defaulted for you, but of course you can update that information if needed. And then one of the tricks I learned from the accounting folks is if you update the cost center first, it repopulates your fund costing location and PCS codes, which can be really handy if you're just switching from cost center to cost center so that you don't have to reset all of the other associated information. You may need to add grant information or additional work tag information if that applies to you. So we're just going to start just a general expense report. And then we can default it to today's date. The business purpose, I'm going to add local travel. and click OK. So it doesn't have any expense lines started yet, so you will always just click Add. And then for a mileage reimbursement, no actual file is required or any attachment is required. And then I'm going to look for mileage reimbursement, clicking through to that expense item. And then maybe I did 10 miles this day. And then the rate will automatically calculate based on the quantity. And so this day, if you also had a meal, you can add a line. So then your mileage reimbursement is here. And your new line information is here. And I'm going to I'm going to start by adding meal. And I'm going to select maybe lunch.
Okay, so I just want everyone to be aware. Does everyone see how when she put in meals, it popped up over here, instructions, item details, attendees, destination, and itemization. Please do not touch the itemization button. This will mess up your reimbursement completely.
Okay.
So this will take away your cost center information, and I will have to send it back to you, and then it will be a very frustrating process to get rid of it. So please, if you can, do not touch itemization.
Okay. So none of this right here, right?
Correct.
Okay. What about our destination?
Yep, we can do destination. That is a
Okay.
must.
So if you're doing a lunch here in Omaha, would you just select Omaha?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Do we need to worry about this box? Or if it was required?
It's not, you don't have to. A lot of people do. But
Okay.
just as long as you upload your receipts under the drop files or select here button, that is where all your receipts will go.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and select.
I
I
didn't
just
think it rained
have
that hard.
sample
Must
receipts.
have rained harder out there in Dodge County than it did here.
All right.
Keep
So
yourself on mute, please.
Yep, sorry.
I'm going to put lunch. So the other thing here that I want to point out is your attachments do not have to be PDF'd. You could take a picture with your phone and upload it to your device and attach it in here as well. So just for example purposes, I scanned in some receipts and use that for the upload. So, okay, any questions on any of these expense lines?
Yes, Shanda does bring up a good point. In the chat, she said plug for the Workday phone app. The enter quick expense option after you click the Workday app's expenses button is super helpful and makes it a breeze through reimbursements when she returns from a trip and she creates her expense report. She is 100% correct. That Workday app is very handy for that.
Okay, so Shanda, I feel like you have given us a lot of really great FYIs and tips and tricks so far. So I'm going to make a note of these, and I think we're probably going to need to keep you online maybe for like some additional trainings. That's fabulous. All right. Yes, the definitely Workday mobile app. That's some information that would be helpful to have out there. Super, super user friendly and easy to use. Anything else that's helpful to point out for an expense report?
Is there any other line item that people were struggling with that they wanted us to review?
Can I
No.
ask a quick question?
Yeah.
And I know I did this wrong about 1,000 times the last time I tried to submit an
Mm-hmm.
expense report. But in the past, when we did the paper forms, we had to do like EVC to SOC to home to describe our travel. Where does that go?
That's going to be under, Sarah, could you go to mileage reimbursement for me?
Yep.
So you will put that under your memo line. You see
Okay,
where
so
she
for
says to
each,
SOC?
okay, so we'll put the complete trip if we're needing reimbursement in that particular spot for each line item.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
So
Yep.
for this, I mean, I could put to SOC and back to office or something.
That memo line's going to be your best friend. It will be your best friend for describing whatever you did for that trip.
Awesome. Really good question.
Was there any other questions? Anything else that some people have been struggling with or been seeing people struggle with reimbursements or any line items? Okay.
Nice. Okay, so I do want to just take a little bit of time after we submit this one to show then what these items that we worked on, both the spend authorization as well as this expense report, what that looks like on the supervisor side, so that you can see if you're a supervisor approving these or sending these back to your team for edits, updates, things like that, you can kind of see what that looks like. I'm going to hit submit.
Hey, Sarah, one more thing. It's fine
Yes.
that you press submit.
Okay.
So you no longer have to put in meal overage as well.
Hmm.
So that is something that we are getting rid of. If you go over, we just ask that you put in the expense line what you have on your receipt. You don't need to put add another line item for meal overage. I've been seeing a lot of people do that, and I know that's been throwing the system off as well. So you no longer need to do that from here on out.
So if your GSA said, oh, you can spend $40, but you spent 47. Some people are putting in 40 there and 7 in overage. Don't
Mhm.
worry about it. Just put 47
Correct.
because that's how we're just looking at your per diem. Are you staying under the per diem generally? We're good with that.
Okay.
KT, do you want an explanation of any kind or?
No, I mean, if it was something like exorbitant, like, oh, your GSA is $40 and you spent 90. Well, maybe you spent 90. Just let us know. I had to go to the reception. It's a $90, fee. That's why my that's why my hotel food that night was $90. It was the reception that was required for the conference I was at. If you have something like that, that's fine. If it's just anything generally like you went over, if you're still under your day, don't worry about it. And if you're slightly over or whatever, you can always leave something in the memo.
Okay. Nice tips there too. One other question I have for the team. Let's say I do a lot of local travel, campus to campus, different sites. What's a good best practice? Should I enter my mileage every day? Should I do it weekly? Um, should I ask my department what their best practice is? Do you have any tips on
What
that?
I would recommend doing if you're doing it for the week, I would just recommend just adding up your total weeks, um, and just submitting it that way and put in the memo line the days that you traveled.
Okay. And then these expense lines too can be adjusted by the day. So you
Correct.
could do today, you could do tomorrow, add a line for Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, etc. All right. So then once you have this all submitted, anything else that anyone needs to see with regard to submitting an expense report before
I
we
just
switch over? Go ahead.
I just have a real quick question. I have some faculty that are really good at waiting for 3, 4 months at a time to do expense reports. Um,
We do ask that they get these expense reports in as soon as possible. Granted, they have a whole fiscal year to get them in. I would not recommend waiting a fiscal year. It's going to be very time consuming for them, and it's very time consuming for the business office to also review that. If they're doing local travel, try to get it in within a month.
Okay. And that's kind of what I told the one person. I said, they'd love you to do them weekly,
Mhm.
but try to do them at least, monthly instead of waiting for
Three, 4 months.
months to do all of these reimbursements and stuff like that. So I've kind of been pushing that, trying, like I said, I've got
Thank
a
you.
few that like
Yeah.
to wait forever and do them and stuff
And
like that. So
we have, in some of the published, documents, we say like, you know, 60 days, that's like your maximum or whatever. We have certainly worked with people like I totally forgot, now I'm leaving, and I have ones that are 6 months old.
yeah.
We've worked with people, but we don't, we don't like anybody to be out money, but we can't operate in general like that. So
Yeah.
keep giving your
And I
people
try
some
to tell them, I
deadlines.
said, I've never seen them deny somebody mileage because they've waited so long to submit it, but there's always that possibility.
Yeah, especially because mileage changes every year. So,
Yeah. So,
Mm,
okay.
yeah, great question. Okay, I'm going to switch over now to the supervisor view. And our supervisor, of course, is Donald Duck. So again, at the top, your task inbox is where you will have things that need to be reviewed and taken action on. So our expense report that we just did came over. And you will see that there's a lot of detail in here, and there's a lot of different options that supervisors have. So you can send back, you could enter a comment, um, and then send back. You could approve. And then the process history will show here. So if some of you have already done this process, you've probably seen the process history can be quite lengthy if you've had to update things and send it back, and then the business office might review it and send it back needing more line item detail or something like that. So those process history can get pretty long. And then for spend authorization, I'm just going to discard those changes. Spend authorizations, that's what these look like inside of the supervisor's inbox. And then literally you can see all of the line item detail really easily inside of this information. You can view all of the attachments really, really quick and easy. I would love to see what this looks like in the mobile app. That would be pretty sweet. And then you can, of course, send back, you can deny, you can approve. So if we hit approve, then it will show the next step in the process. And quite often it is going to be an individual in the business office. Are there any questions? We have about 6 more minutes.
Supervisors, please encourage all your employees to fill out their payment elections,
Yes.
because that is how they are going to get paid for their reimbursements. It is either going to go by check or it is going to go by direct deposit. Right now, it's just automatically defaulting to check, but I would like them to have those options
Mhm.
ready for them, because what's going to happen is if it gets to me, if it gets to Frankie, if it gets to someone in the business office and they do not have those payment elections selected, we're going to send it back. So please just make sure that they have that stuff filled in.
So I set up payment elections in the travel tenant. using just some sample data. But essentially, and I have heard of this happening to other individuals who are even just trying to submit mileage reimbursements. They will get that message that says they haven't elected. So then what you'll do is you'll hit your main menu, you'll check your profile, you'll come to pay, and then hit payment elections. So payments for expenses and payments for payroll, essentially all in that same field. And these are editable. Mine was defaulted to receive a check. So I came in here and I edited and I selected to receive it by direct deposit. But that check is an option to. So correct me if I'm wrong, but if individuals do still want to see a paper check for their reimbursements, that is an option for them.
That is correct. They have the option between a check or a direct deposit. If they want to see a paper check, we just ask that they select check. If they want a direct deposit, please select direct deposit. Please do not just put it off and just, say, oh, well, I want to check. It's already on check. No, please make sure that this is checked off.
Yeah,
And the system will tell you if it's checked off or not.
yeah, that's a really good tip.
I have another quick question. When their faculty are doing the spend authorization forms, and there's a number of them going to the same conference, they all have to do their own spend authorization form. They cannot put 3 or 4 people on the same one any longer,
That is
correct?
correct.
Okay, just wanted to clarify that.
Now, I just didn't hear that full question because I had somebody else in my office. But if you're doing an expense report or a TA, it's one per person if you're an employee. If you're doing a TA for you and 5 students that are going with you, you can do a TA for the group.
Okay.
And then like the expenses the same way. You might be submitting expenses for you and five students because they didn't pay for anything while they were gone. But when it's a group of employees together, it's one on your own. Everybody does their own.
But the reimbursement way is going to be different for students. It's going to be considered a non-employee reimbursement,
If
which,
the student paid something out of their pocket.
correct.
Yeah.
And like Shanda said, students work with her to go through reimbursements.
Yeah.
So we do have a question about covering non-employee reimbursements from Jennifer. Thank you, Jennifer. So I know that there's a different individual in the business office who does work on non-employee reimbursements. And is that Carol?
Yeah, so
Yes.
Carol is, see, now in this new world, a non-employee reimbursement, which used to kind of go through Jordan's desk as a reimbursement, isn't really a reimbursement. It's like you're doing the order for it like it's outside the system, like you were doing for a vendor or somebody who doesn't work here. So non-employee reimbursements could be a student, could be a speaker for a class or something.
Okay.
When you go into that requisition process, you pick non-employee reimbursement, like you would pick blanket PO or whatever as the type of requisition you're going to work on.
Okay. So, Jennifer, if you can come over with us tomorrow to the FOC campus, we are going to be having an in-person training, and I'm going to go back to our slides so that you can,
And Carol will be there tomorrow. You could go through that with her
yes,
in person.
that would be amazing. The other thing, I think maybe that would be a really good topic for some additional job aid information, to show the difference in that type of reimbursement process. I'm going to make a note of that. So we will be over in Building 10 tomorrow afternoon on the Fort Omaha campus. And yeah, Jordan will be there. I will be there. Carol, and I'm not sure, Katie, if you're coming over, but definitely come over and we can troubleshoot this with you. Um, and get some really great like hands-on help. I know that these trainings really help folks, especially to have recordings, having slides, but sometimes being in person and just being able to walk through the process with someone who knows that process really well, can be just a great way to get confidence in the system um, and get questions answered. Do we have any other questions?
Yeah, I just was wondering what time.
Oh yeah, I did not put that on the slide. Oh my goodness. It starts at 1 p.m. and it will run for 3 hours. So you can come in at any point during that 3 hour window between 1 and 4 tomorrow, and stay as long as you like. Great question. All right. So after we wrap today, you will be receiving an email. It will have all of the resources. It will have links to view the recording. Check out the business office resources on Unity. The information that we had created before on spend authorizations and expense reports, Jordan and I did a lot of work to update those and make them more current. So check those out. And then also, if you need support, you can reach out to the team. The business office team is here to support you. They're very knowledgeable. They've helped me with expenses and things like that. And then also check out Workday Modernization on Unity. We have a lot of other topics out there. We'll have future trainings, and we do announce through that Workday Modernization site as well. And then please keep in touch. We'd like to know your feedback. We really want to know topics for future training. I already wrote down non-employee reimbursements, as well as, some features of the mobile app, super great tips and FYIs. And then, of course, you can reach out to us. Workday at MCC is our email address. And then ask a question form is a great way. If you don't see your question being answered anyplace else, definitely drop us a line there, or at our email. And then we also use the information that we receive from you guys, from our important user audience to update our FAQs, and create future trainings. All right, are there any other questions? Anything from you, Jordan?
No, thank you so much, Sarah, for covering this,
you.
and thank you everybody for attending. I hope this helped everyone out. I hope we got everyone's questions answered. Again, if we didn't, best way to reach us is through email, reaching out to us, and just again, Sarah, thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. And thanks everybody for your time and your attention and all of your great questions. All right.
See you
Thanks.
tomorrow if you stop in. And again, keep your eye open for the P card information coming out.
Sounds great. Thanks so much, everybody.
Okay,
Thank
thanks.
y'all.
Bye.